one thing we want to talk about is the material you use. So some of you who are keen-eyed who walked through and saw the sculptures, you might have looked at it and thought, that material looks really familiar. And some of you may have twigged it, but I can guarantee that, I'm not saying you should go touch that sculpture, but every single one of you has touched that material in your life. So it'd be great if, Anita, you want to talk about it and how that material is transformed, why you chose that material and how it becomes your artwork.
Well, how I chose it is quite a story. When we had induction, the first day of the MA Art and Science, we were in lockdown, so it was online. And we had to do a show and tell, talk about our research and show some work. And I was panicking because I had no idea what I was going to show. I was thinking, oh my God, I want to do research on neuroscience. I had cared for my mother who had Alzheimer's, so I wanted to do something to do with memory. But I was also interested in pollution. And so there were lots of things going through my head. And I think, what am I going to show? What am I going to show? And I was looking around for inspiration, and there on the kitchen counter was a bag of fruits, oranges. And it seemed to say to me, hey, look at me, look at my web. This is art and science, it's got all the interconnections. So I quickly snipped it off and did my show and tell on the laptop. And then afterwards, I thought, wow, this is good stuff. It's flexible, it's brightly colored, it's very light. I'm going to experiment with this. So that's how it happened. There's literally 1,000 of these bags between the two sculptures that you've seen out there. So, it's been a lot of stitching together. Yeah, that's it.
I don't think you pass them around.
Pass them around.
It's funny because when you start passing around, I was thinking you came up with this idea during the pandemic where we couldn't pass things around. It's quite nice that you can. Hopefully not COVID, just the bags. But it'd be interesting to know how you get from those bags that we're all familiar with to the sculptures we see out there. What's that process, and how do you decide what form it takes and what it looks like?
Well, I think I had sort of several ideas that I worked through, and I wanted to get the communities to interact. So, I started joining them together and then getting people to hold them and play with them and then seeing what happened to it. So that's part of my experiment. So it wasn't sort of planned and thought through, it just happened. And then I would hang it from trees to see it moving, or even went up the Pennines, held it against the blustery wind, and it got buffeted, the holes appeared in it. And, so it was like evolving and a living piece of work after the pandemic. It was really a key moment to have something tangible to hold and to connect and feel it. And because they're so colorful and joyful, they started eliciting stories. People had lots of ideas, and they would share what they thought, the kind of memories it evoked. Depending on the space that it would be shown in, the shape would then fit with that space. So when it was in the grad show, I had it hanging, so it was looking more like a butterfly or an octopus, I don't know what, something abstract floating up there. And whereas here, I had this wall, and I thought, it would be nice to do a journey. So it depends on the space that it occupies. And then I work with that space and the material. The material is so malleable. I can put wires into it to give it shape, stuff bits into it, and you have lots of layers of meaning. I step back and look at it almost like a painting, do I need to add a bit more yellow here? Does it accentuate the movement? So that's the sort of process.